All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny. I'm the program manager with the LA Chamber on the entrepreneurship and innovation team. It's really great to see everyone. We have a really great couple of speakers for you today with the US Census Bureau. And we will begin in just a moment. So once everyone has entered the room, here are a few reminders. Please keep yourselves on mute to minimize any background noise while our speakers are presenting. Please drop your name in the chat and your company name as well, just so we can get to know who is joining us. And also during the presentation, we invite you to drop any questions in the chat and we will call on you during our Q&A session after the presentation. And now I would like to introduce our Small Business Council co-chair, Kevin Keene, who is the COO of Directed Action Incorporated. So welcome, Kevin.
Jenny, thank you so much. And on behalf of the LA Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and our Small Business Council, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, US Census, as well as Cal OSB. It's my pleasure to introduce our speakers today who will be sharing the 2022 Economic Census and Data Tools to Support Business Growth. Our first speaker is Carrie. She began her career at US Census as an analyst in the former retail census branch. In 2012, she joined the Respondent Outreach Promotion branch, focusing on outreach for the economic census and other surveys, the account management program, as well as promotional content and standards. Our second speaker is Nadal, who has been with the Census Bureau for over 15 years. For the past 4 years, he's been working on data user and trade outreach branch within the economic management division. Welcome, Carrie and Nadal. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. So hi, as Kevin said, we are here from the Census Bureau, and we're going to talk to you about our economic surveys, as well as show you some of the data tools that you can use. Next slide. So here's our agenda for today. I'm going to do an introduction, do an overview of our census surveys, explain what is the economic census and some sources of Census Bureau data. And then it's the part that I'm sure you all are actually excited for, and why you signed up for this one is to get a demo of one of our best tools, the Census Business Builder. And then we'll go over a few key takeaways and have some Q&A at the end. Next slide. So Census Bureau surveys. Next slide. So at the Census Bureau, we do more than measure people. Everybody knows, we learn in grade school that the Census Bureau measures the population every 10 years. But what most people probably don't know is that we also measure the economy. Here at the Census Bureau, we conduct more than 30 economic surveys each year. And currently, this includes the economic census. So this measures the US business, employer businesses every 5 years. So I mentioned we have a number of surveys. We kind of think about it in these two key categories. So we have our monthly and quarterly surveys. And these include the nation's key economic indicators. These are essential for tracking and reporting for GDP. I know probably a lot of us watch the news and we might hear the Department of Commerce announced retail sales are up X% this month. That is actually a Census Bureau survey. So that is one of our retail indicators that is conducted by the Census Bureau and published by the Census Bureau. But when we announce it on the news, it's under our department. So it's actually us too. We're part of the Department of Commerce. And then we also have a variety of annual surveys. So we have annual surveys focused on almost every sector of the economy. So we have like a retail annual survey, a wholesale annual survey, county business patterns, as well as the annual business survey. And this one I think is really neat because that's the one that asks about business owner characteristics. So I know that we get a lot of data user questions about how can I find out about women-owned businesses in my community or about veteran-owned businesses. That's where you would find some of those statistics. Next slide. And this is a lot of text for a slide, but I do like to show it I don't expect you all to be experts at it, but the essential idea is that our programs build on one another. So at the very top, we have our high frequency programs. We have a new business trend and outlook survey that's conducted monthly. That's a smaller size of businesses who are in that survey. And then as we go further down the pyramid, we sample a few more people for our monthly and quarterly surveys. That's some of our most timely data. And then we have an even larger sample for our annual surveys. And that's really great for trend data, year over year numbers, provides more detail at that level as well. And then every 5 years, we have our economic census. And we also have a census of governments to measure public sector economy as well. And then the foundation of all of this is administrative data that we have at the Census Bureau to supplement and produce additional products. Next slide. So why I am mainly here today is to talk to you about what is the economic census. The economic census, as I mentioned, it's conducted every 5 years, and it produces our most comprehensive economic data available. This data includes number of establishments and products and revenue, employment. Nadal is going to get into showing you some of the data we have, but it's just a wealth of data. The thing that I always want to mention about the economic census is we ask businesses to report on a location basis. So if I have a pizza shop and I have 3 of those, 3 different locations, I would need to report for each 3 of those. And the reason is if I had one in one city and then another in a neighboring city, we want to be able to capture that economic activity where it happens, right? So if I have a pizza shop down in Long Beach, that's very different than a pizza shop up in Malibu. So it's just a way to make sure that we're capturing the data accurately. And that is why we only do this one every 5 years, because it is very detailed. The other thing about the economic census, and I kind of mentioned it, that we ask product and revenue data. The idea is, for my pizza shop example, it's not just what were your total sales at the pizza shop, but we also say how much was food for takeout, how much was food to eat in the restaurant. And then we would also ask something for restaurants if you have any party room rental income. So it's very detailed. And again, the reason why we ask these details is so we can provide that data back to you, the public, so that you can use it to make informed business decisions. And then it is, oh, sorry, I just got really hung up on that second bullet point. Sorry, thank you. The economic census is conducted online and response is mandatory. But the same law that makes it mandatory is also the same law that makes us as Census Bureau employees keep it strictly confidential. So we only publish at an aggregate level, so we would not publish individual business data. And this data that's provided to us can only be used for statistical purposes. And then the 2022 economic census is now underway. That might seem a little odd since we're in 2023, but that reason is because we asked businesses to report their year-end numbers for 2022. Okay, now next slide. Thank you. One thing that does make our economic census different than the decennial census that we're all used to is that not every business in the US will get one. So we have about 300 million businesses in the US. The economic census only includes those that are employer business establishments. So those are people who have employees. They fill out the 941. And then of that, to capture the rest of the business population, we have something called the non-employer statistics program, which, as you can guess, are for non-employers. So those are people who are sole proprietorships or independent contractors. And then of that 8 million employer businesses, we do sample the smallest businesses just to reduce burden on the business community. So if you're here today and you're like, I've never heard of this, I've never gotten one, that's okay. If we did get something from us, then this next slide is for you. So we mailed out our official letters at the very end of January, and those included codes to go online and set up your account. So we're all used to online accounts. We ask you to use your email as a username, create your own password, and then set up security questions. Again, you set up your own security questions in case your password was too good, you forget it with all of our passwords that we have. And that will help you to reset your password yourself without having to call in and get technical help. And that response portal is at portal.census.gov. And that's also where you can grant yourself a time extension. You will notice at the bottom, I say the original deadline was March 15th. We know the beginning of the year is very busy for businesses. So if you received one and you haven't completed it yet, you can go ahead and log in and request an extension. There is help available online as well as through our call center. Next slide. I always like to highlight this page. This is a page that we reference a lot in our communications. We tried to put as much information that a respondent might be interested in at one spot. So the first place that you are probably interested in, if you're a respondent, is that highlighted box section that says 2022 economic census information for respondents. And then we also have quick links and videos, and you can see down below, there's a need help section where it asks, how can I get started, or how can I see the online instrument? These are very detailed pages. I don't want to go into them today, but if you have any questions, my email and phone number at the end of this. Again, this is just supposed to be a resource if somebody has questions as they are completing the survey. Next slide. So sources of Census Bureau data. As I mentioned, this is the economic census provides the most comprehensive data available. Our first data release is planned for early 2024. That's because we are still collecting the information, and then we will need to analyze it and release it. We will start releasing our detailed geography data in early of 2025. So that's when you'll be getting California or LA specific data. And responses, again, as I mentioned, are aggregated. We don't release individual business responses. And if you remember back to that pyramid, the economic census sets the benchmark for all of our other economic surveys that we provide at the Census Bureau. And what I always like to make sure everybody knows, there are lots of places you can buy data, which that's great. I know that they provide a service, but your data from the Census Bureau is all available for free online. And Nadal will show you a more detailed demo of one of our tools, but I'm going to go ahead and walk you through some high-level examples. Next slide. So here's Sarah. Sarah used Census Bureau data to help plan some shift coverage for her factory in LA. And you can see over to the right some of the data that we have for LA County for hardware manufacturing over time, as well as number of employer establishments and average payroll. And if you click, there should be a pretty little circle that comes up, Jenny. The source is a Census Business Builder. And that will be what Nadal is going to show you. So you'll see where you can find this exact information yourself in our tools. Next slide. And again, next slide. So quick facts. This is another tool I want to highlight. Can you go to the next slide? So Paula used Census Bureau data to set their economic development plan for Manhattan. Statistics made possible by response to the economic census. You go to the next slide, we'll see how Paula used this tool. Quick facts is what you would guess. It's a quick way to get some facts. You can go to the website listed in the upper right-hand corner, census.gov/quickfacts. I think it was also dropped in the chat. And when you start, if you go ahead and click next, it starts at the US level and next. And then you can type in which location. In this example, Paula would be interested in New York County, New York. And next. And then it populates those quick facts for New York alongside the US. Next. And then you can select from a list of topics that you're interested in. And in this example, again, Paula could select businesses. And next. And then that filters the table down to just those high-level quick facts that Paula would be interested in. Next. You can also go back and select facts. And next, and then you'll see here's the full list of facts that are available. So again, this is a very high level example of how if you just needed one number real quick for a presentation, something you were interested in, that's a really quick and easy way to get data on your local businesses. Next. So data.census.gov, we're going to meet Joseph. So Joseph used Census Bureau data to help secure a small business loan, statistics made possible by your response to the economic census. And here you can see again data for Montgomery County, Maryland, and specifically florists there. If we go to the next slide. The majority of all of our data is housed here in data.census.gov. So you can go to this website and search for, in this example, florists in Montgomery County. And select Maryland. And here you can see all of the tables that are available, but he could also click on view profile. And then that gives a high level profile of florists in that location. You can also go and click on tables and see all of the tables that would have data on that industry at that location. So that's regardless of survey, regardless of which year is located there. And next slide. So again, Nadal is about ready to jump in and do his demo, but hopefully this gives you an idea of some of the data that is available to you for free and online. Next. I'll hand it over to Nadal.
Hello, thank you, Carrie. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And we'll get started. Okay, so hopefully you all can see this is Census Business Builder. I believe we dropped the link in the chat, so I invite you all to go ahead and click on it. And, you know, we can kind of have like an interactive sort of demo here. Or if not, you can just sort of watch me do it. And it'll be the same kind of experience. So this is Census Business Builder. This was recently revamped back in December of 2022. We previously, before that time, we had Census Business Builder was split up into two different applications. There was what we call the Small Business Edition and also the Regional Analyst Edition. And due to customer feedback and general compliance and ease of use, we combined them all into what you see here. So this has the features of both editions as well as some additional enhancements. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with you all today. So again, this is how you start. This is what you'll see when you first click on Census Business Builder. You'll see here that you have the option to start off by just clicking on or typing in a location, or if you're new to the system, you can click on Take a Tour. And what this does is it takes you through all of the features here, step by step. You can think of this as kind of like the tooltips that you might see for any given section. You can go forward, backward, and we've got 43 slides. You can also, if at any point you'd like to pull that up again, you can just look up here at the help option. And among other options, you'll see the tour at the bottom. Okay. All right, so that's the tour. So let's start off by selecting a geography. And so we always recommend that we start off at the county level. There just seems to be more data available at the county level, and you can really enjoy all the features of reports and all the data if you do that, for sure. So since this is Los Angeles, I'm going to type in Los Angeles here. And these are the results we have. They are split up. And we can see here there's Los Angeles County. So click on that. The system is dynamic. It will adjust and change based on any inputs that you that you provide. There's no need to click on a save button or a continue. Just you click on it and it adjusts. So this is the dashboard, the very bottom thing here, the very bottom window. Clicking around, you can see the dashboard will repopulate based on what we see on the map. You can click around on the map, you can zoom out. As you can see here in the dashboard, there are some data elements that are, or variables that are built into it by default, but these are all customizable. You can change these around however you like. But to start off, these two items here are called the map variables. You can change these map variables by either clicking on the boxes within the dashboard or by selecting up here. All right. The other data items that come by default in the dashboard are your median household income, % high school degree or higher, all employer establishments, and home ownership rate. Just kind of a general slice of all of all the data that we have. Kind of gives you a flavor of everything. But we can customize everything here. For instance, if you'd like to see additional something new here on the dashboard, say you're not interested so much in education, but you'd like to see something else, you can just select change variable. And these are all your options here for all the variables. What I'm going to do now is just kind of walk through all of the variables that are available in Census Business Builder. And this was, let me just say that this was built and sort of the concept came from our customers. So we are continuously adding enhancements, and those enhancements include additional variables like you see here. So if there's anything that you would like to see that is not here, please, I encourage you to send us a message. We take customers' feedback very seriously, and we use that to drive all of our releases. So starting here, this is our primary category, and these are our secondary categories. The first one is consumers' residence. You could think of this as your customers. Okay, so clicking on that, you get your secondary categories. You have your demographic characteristics, and starting at total population, you can get the breakouts by % male, female, age, % working. So if you'd like to open up, say, some sort of coffee shop, and your customer base would be sort of professionals that are going to and from work or meeting up during the day for small meetings, that kind of thing, this might be something you'd be interested in. If you're opening up or expanding or entering into an industry like a daycare, then this might be something you're interested in, % under 5 years old. Okay, the next item is our socioeconomic characteristics. Now you'll see things here such as median household income, average income. This is where we saw the education, % high school education, bachelor degree, employment. And then this is pretty neat. This is % of all workers who over 16 who commute to work. And by clicking that, you get kind of how they get to work. So this is kind of like a journey to work sort of thing. And then the different transportation methods they take. Okay, the next item, housing characteristics. So yeah, so this is, how home ownership rates for those that rent, what the median rent is in a particular area, and that kind of thing. Vacancy, owner occupied, rental occupied, detached, all that kind of stuff. So let's say that you are a sort of a contractor, and you would like to see kind of where the home ownership is pretty high. That could be some potential business for you. Business is annual. So this is where you get into your employers versus non-employers. Your employers are obviously establishments with more than one paid employee. And we have much more data on employers than we have on non-employers for disclosure reasons and that kind of thing. If you are trying to, this is more of like a business to business kind of scenario. If you'd like to expand into another region, you want to see what you would expect to pay your employees in that other region, what the economic conditions are that are waiting for you there. And then we also have our minority owned, Black owned, Asian, veteran, that kind of thing. All right, and non-employers, not as much data is available. Non-employers obviously would be like your small businesses, your mom and pops, that kind of thing, but we do have some information there. For key ratios, this is, this could be important for hiring or expanding an existing business. You got your population per payroll per employee, population per employer, number of employers and non-employers, et cetera. And then if it's available, we also have international trade data. This might be more available if like at the port level, port locations, coast, border crossings, that kind of thing. But again, imports, exports, and mode of transport, air, vessel, for both imports and exports. All right, so that's just kind of a quick snapshot of all the data that's available in Census Business Builder. I'm going to start here and just kind of walk through a general scenario that I think is that we could all kind of understand, and you could certainly plug in whatever variables that you like that are more appropriate for your business need. But what I'm going to do to start here is I'm going to clear out, remove my secondary variable, and just have a primary variable here. Okay, so this is what you'll see when you first start and log on to Census Business Builder. And again, this is our map variables here, and these are our dashboard variables. You can convert a dashboard variable to a map variable by just clicking on the star, and then it turns into your primary variable there. And then you can just kind of click around and see that particular variable as your primary variable. Okay. There are many ways there's actually two ways to change your primary and secondary variable. You can click on the box, like I said, or go up here. So for our secondary variable, so let's just say for the sake of an example here, let's say that I'm interested in opening like an upscale bar or a lounge or a restaurant, and I'd like to open it somewhere in Los Angeles County. I'm not sure where yet, but I do know what I need to open up. Okay, as a primary variable, because I know I want a customer base that has sort of maybe more disposable income, and they'd be happy to spend their money. I may want to focus on median household income as my primary variable. All right, secondary variable, I can choose anything here, but let's say I'd like to target customers that are of, it's a bar or a lounge, so they have to be of drinking age. So we'll say 21 years and over as my secondary variable. You'll see both variables have populated here automatically. Remember, it's dynamic. Click out of it, and the map has been updated. And now what you'll see here is a series of, or some circles and colors. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Now, this is very helpful. If you click on the legend, the bottom right, the map variables will show up on your legend. So the first map variable will always be here, and it'll always be visualized as the map color, and the color of the state or the county or whatever geography. The color represents the concentration of that variable. Second map variable will always be displayed as circles. The size of the circle will be the large number or the concentration of the number. So it allows you to pretty easily and quickly see, based on the combination of color and circle, where to start your search. So just based on this alone, if I'm opening up a fairly high upscale lounge or bar or restaurant, it looks like I've got a high concentration of adults, 21 years, and the circle here is pretty good size. So clicking on that, we see more details about this particular geography. Median household income, 94,150, 73.1%, 21 years and over. Okay, so that's pretty neat. So now we have, let's just for the sake of this example, let's assume that we have our geography selected and we've settled on that. What we can do now is run an industry report for whatever industry we are interested in. In this case, it's the bar, lounge, restaurant, and this geography. And this will really give us an idea of what we're dealing with in this area. So let's start off by adding our industry. So far we've only dealt with our geography here, okay? If you look at the top here under custom industries, I want to click on that. And there's a few ways that you can start your search or add an industry. You can just type it in here, or you can click on add industry. And when you do that, you have two additional ways of locating your industry, kind of a general, you have a general preset list of items here, categories and industries, or you can go to our industry tree and get a full breakout of just about everything we have available. Okay. So for this one, let's just look at the first option, food services as our industry category. And we've got bars right here, which is pretty convenient. All right, so I click on that, and now I've added bars as my industry. And if you're ever interested in learning more about the industry code, the NAICS, so we refer to it, the North American Industrial Classification System code, you can click on this and it opens up the definition for that. Okay, but we're assuming that we know what our code is. So we've clicked on that, click out of that, out of the industry, custom industry, and you can see bars is selected here. You've got our geography there. We're assuming that we have all of our data variables that we want to see. And now we want to create a report. All right, so clicking on that, I just want to make sure, are you able to see my my screen here? I switched out to the report. Is it still showing?
Yes, you can see the report.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so this is my report. And this is a really powerful feature of Census Business Builder. This essentially builds a business plan for you. And let's just start off with the headers. We've got our business profile. You'll see that we've selected this as bars for Ventura County, California. So that's what we're looking at here. Again, this is organized into our demographic or our consumers' residents and their business summary, business comparison, consumer spending, and then information about the data. This will pull in all of the data available in Census Business Builder. All right, so not just whatever you happen to filter or select as your map variables. The report will bring in everything. The report is customizable, it's shareable. Click on that. Any item here, you can see charts, bar charts based on these demographic characteristics. Again, consumers' residents, this is your customer base. Socioeconomic characteristics. Gives you some more socioeconomic information about this geography, as well as housing data. And getting into our business summary, this is where our industry comes in here, okay? So this was all showing just our geography information. Now we are dealing with whatever industry we selected, and we can see that here as well. Number of establishments, employer establishments, number of drinking places in Ventura County, California, 43. Okay. Break it out into number of employees. Where you ever see this NA, typically that means either there's no data available or there's only a few establishments. And for this particular data variable, which means we would suppress it. Business revenue. So again, if I'm expanding into a geography, into another area, how much are my competitors bringing in? And how much are they paying their employees? Non-employer firms, mom and pops, firm job gains, and firm job loss. So this will give you an idea of like the dynamics of this industry in this geography. Where's what's the forecast of the growth of this industry? What's the future demand? This can kind of help you with sort of long-term planning, that kind of thing. Quarterly business, this is kind of like, you want to think of this as kind of levels and look in quotients, employment quotients, percent change, all that kind of thing. Okay. All right. So that was the report, and that was just a very simple report that we generated. You can also do reports for industry clusters as well as custom regions. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to build a region. So right now, what we've done so far is we've targeted just a single region. And by region, I mean a geography here. But let's say that I'd like to add in multiple regions into the report that I created. Okay, I don't want just Ventura County, California. I want the surrounding counties as well. So we can, let's collapse that and expand this, which is our region view. I have two options here. I can, well, edit a region, so bring in all the regions that I'd like, or I can see what we have for pre-built regions. Selecting pre-built regions, we've got the region type, weather forecast offices, SBA hub zones, and HUD opportunity zones. These SBA hub zones and HUD opportunity zones are, I think these are business areas that are either distressed or underserved and could be, potential demand or for whatever industry that you're looking to expand into. Okay. Or you can add or create your own region here by customizing it. So I clicked on edit region, and I've got a few options on how I can add different geographies to my region. So I can use a cursor, polygon, rectangle, or circle. So I'm just going to click on circle here. And let's say I'm interested in just kind of all of these right here. These all look pretty good to me. Okay, so I'll do that. And as you can see here, it brings all of those regions in there. Right. If there's anything that maybe I don't like or that I want to remove, I can obviously click the X to remove that from my selection. I can also clear the whole thing out. And I can also name my region. So I will name this region, let's just call it LA surrounding region. Click on finish. All right, now what I can do is I can click create region report. And this is a new feature that we've added back in December. And again, we've got our industry here, but this time we've got all of those regions that we added. And again, you'll get the same data items, but with very different information here now. Much more population. You'll have, bigger numbers available, that kind of thing. What I'd like to also point out here is that this at the right, this tells you the contributing regions to this region that you created. It's comprised of the following counties. You can also click on any of these individual counties if you like to pull up an individual report. Okay, so this happens to be for drinking places for Madera County, California. Another feature of reports I'd like to share with you is that this is customizable, and there are cases that you'd like to share this with other folks within your organization. And maybe you want to show them a clean copy. You don't want to show them or have all of this suppressed or unavailable sections there. So if that's the case, you can just click on the pencil right here by table of contents, and you can hide anything here that does not seem like it's available. So you get just a clean copy of everything here on employer, and then click on the check to save it. And there is a nice clean copy of my report that I can share by clicking on the link. And I can also download the data from the report. You can also download data from the map as a CSV, Excel, or shapefile. And I think one final thing I'd like to share with you here is the filters. Okay, so filters allow you to add, you can add up to 3 data variables that you like to filter the map and really just target certain items and then within a certain range. And by that, let me show you. So if I'm interested in, again, this is a upscale bar, lounge, and I want to filter on income, median household income. Okay, so right now I'm seeing all income levels, but I just want to see, pretty high income here, right? As I scroll to the right, more of the map becomes gray because I'm only targeting higher and higher income. Okay. All right, I'm gonna click finish there. I can add another one. My other map variable was % 21 years or over. Okay, so again, let's go there and finish. And this will really, again, this is helpful in really narrowing down and targeting your industry or your region. Okay, if those two variables were important to me, I can identify the range that I'm really interested in, and it really exposes those regions. And so far, we've only been dealing with county level data because that's the data has the most data available at that geography. But if you zoom in more, you'll see within that county. Click on city, town. Oh, there we are. There you go. The map is starting to refresh here, but you can see the city start to populate. And then you can zoom in further at the zip code level. And you'll see the same sort of thing. Okay, so with that, I think that's about it for my presentation. I'm not sure if there's any questions now or if that's going to be held towards the end of the session here.
Let's jump into a couple questions, and then excuse me. If there's anyone else that has questions, you can put them in the chat, and then we'll open it up. First of all, where have you guys been hiding this? That's what I want to know. How come this is the first time? Where have you been hiding this? Why is the Department of Commerce taking credit for your work? Just a few. I mean, this is so helpful. I mean, really just.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. And that's the question that I get that every time I demo this, whenever I'm out on the road or at a trade show or an exhibition or conference, people they have that same question. First of all, they ask, okay, how much does this cost? Or is this a subscription kind of a thing? And I say, no, it's free. It's yours. Go right now and look at it. One thing I didn't mention is that it's also mobile optimized. So everything you see here, you can enjoy the features on whatever tablet or any device that you have. And it's optimized for that. The reports, the map, everything. So, I mean, I suppose that maybe we could do a better job of marketing. I'm not sure how exactly. We worked very hard at this, and we've done a number of webinars just like this. But yeah, I mean, we're trying not to hide it.
No. I'm tongue in cheek here a little bit.
Absolutely. I know. I don't mean, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the questions I have, which is you go through. So you gave a demo, and you're cheating a little bit because you know exactly exactly how this thing works. You know the data variables. You know the options and all that. So I'm just a simple guy from Los Angeles. I don't understand your complex census ways. Is there somebody or someone or somewhere that can help me answer these questions to say, hey, look, I get the database. Navigating through this, while it is extremely user-friendly, the GUI is fantastic. I mean, all this stuff is fantastic. I still need a little help because I'm not actually sure what questions to ask or how to slice the data. So is there a resource or resources that could help me with this and kind of help me get to that business case or strategy? How would we go about doing that if I wanted somebody to help me?
Sure. Well, I would recommend starting at, so if you can see where I am right now, I'm at the Census Bureau website. And so let me show you how to access Census Business Builder from the website. That would be helpful. And then I'll show you all the tools and resources and flyers and that kind of thing. So this is our website, www.census.gov. And you can get to the Census Business Builder in a few ways, but go to Data Maps. And it would be here, Data Equity Tools and Data Tools and Apps. You can find Census Business Builder in both locations. Data Equity Tools has Census Business Builder right here on the first, as the first thing. Click on that, and this brings you to the Census Business Builder homepage. And this should answer a lot of those questions on, where do I get help? How do I don't know what resources are available? And just clicking through, this gives you an idea of the features of the latest release. This is how you would get to the system right there. We have webinars. Well, let me just go in order here. Sorry. Flyers. You want to click on that. which is very helpful. This goes over all the features that I discussed, as well as some additional ones. Clicking on webinars, we provided a webinar, I think it was back in January, on Census Business Builder. And webinar should be at our YouTube page. For some reason, it's not here, but I can also get you that as well.
I think it's showing a lot of your future webinars and all.
Okay.
Currently.
All right.
The historical ones are also there. They're just deeper.
They're deeper on there. Okay, very good. Yeah. Thank you, Carrie. Help and FAQs, common questions that you have can be answered here. And then known issues and comments. So again, we respond to any feedback we receive from our customers. And this is how we built the system, is based on what you guys need and what you're asking for. Unfortunately, things do break sometimes. So this is something that I would encourage everyone to take advantage of. These are known issues. We are coming out with a new release on the 30th called 5.1, which addresses all of these. But if there's any new issues, then we encourage you to provide that feedback. And I'm also available. I'm happy to.
Careful, dude. Careful.
That's what I was gonna say.
Careful.
But that's. I mean, this is why we're here, and that's why our contact information is at the end. We're kind of a small team, right? So if you're gonna call and ask a question, you're likely to get Nadal about Census Business Builder. Mm-hmm. If you're calling with the Econ Census question, you're likely gonna get me. So
let me ask another question if I can. So I'm gonna make some assumptions around the folks on the call, but basically what we've seen is we've talked about a region, but in some cases we're talking about blocks. We're talking about a much smaller area where, we talked about business to consumer, and let's say it's a restaurant or it's a food truck or it's a business to consumer. It's a much smaller area. So we could talk about the city of Los Angeles, and then we could talk about geographies related to the South Bay or West Hollywood. Would you mind just walking through that a little bit again, but go deeper and say, what's the lowest level of geography that you can get to? Is it zip code? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So zip code is no longer the lowest level. We actually have the track level, which is deeper than zip code. But I'll kind of show you that. What's a good zip code close to LA? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, let's do 90732, which is San Pedro. That's the one I know off the top of my head. And I know it's Los Angeles. So
right. All right, we'll see.
And this is enlightened self-interest too, by the way. So I'm just all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So this is 90732. So you can just click on tracked. So we are pretty well scrolled in right now on the map. We're zoomed in. That means that all of these levels here are available. So right now we're on the zip code level. That's why we're seeing these.
Nadal, let me do this. Can you do 90017? That has more businesses in there. Okay. I was just looking like this is all residential. No one's gonna.
Yeah.
No one's gonna care about that. Thank you, Jenny.
There we are. And there's our zip code boundary.
Okay.
All right. Now, if I kind of zoom in a little bit here. I'm zoomed in all the way. Okay, so let me just select track.
Can you remove your filters? Because I think it's filtering out.
Oh, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Absolutely. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the lowest level that we have. So I'm going to click back to zip code just to show you where we were. And I think we're here, right? 90017. Zooming out. That's what it looks like. I can go deeper than that with track level. And looks like 90017 is comprised roughly of these tracks right here. And I can click on that. This is my dashboard. Just expand that again. And for this census tract right here, these are the data variables that are, this is all the data that shows up for that. I can toggle around to the next tract, and the next one here. You'll notice that the colors, I still have my primary and my secondary variable set. That's why the colors are the way they are. But if I were to just kind of go start from scratch, like I without setting any of these, any variables, then, let's see, up here, remove that. Primary variable is always set to total population. So if I were to start fresh in Census Business Builder, this is what it would look like at the tract level, in this part of 90017. And from here, yes, you can go ahead and, well, we already have bars selected. So this is, now I will say something about, as you get deeper into this level of geography, the level of data, it may not be as available. Like you'll see.
Yeah, because we don't have business data at the tract level.
Right.
It just is too thin to publish.
Okay, perfect.
If we were to publish at that level, then we would expose a lot of business information. So
yeah, let me do this. So thank you so much. I want to make sure I saw one or two questions in the chat, and I think we covered those, but I do want to open it up and see if there's anyone online. There's a few more questions that I have, but I'd like to open it up and see if there's anyone else that have questions for Nadal or Kari based on what they saw. Anyone have any questions? You can take yourself off mute. Otherwise, I've got a lot more questions. Colette, you had a question?
Yes, this is, thank you guys. This is Colette with PCR and the SBDC. And I had a question. During the pandemic, there was a lot of data, monthly data on tracking as well. And so that ended, I think, in December, that kind of wrapped up. And so is there another kind of ongoing regular tracking tool in addition to the every 5 years? Because that starts to get kind of stale, especially if the report won't be out until 2024. So how are you keeping up with kind of current data?
Yeah, so we have a variety of surveys. So I don't know exactly which, it sounds like you're probably talking about the pulse surveys that we were doing. Yeah. So we have something similar. It's not exactly called the Business Trends and Outlook Survey that has kind of replaced it, but not fully. And then we also have our monthly, surveys. Those are predominantly at the national level. And it's not until you get to the annual surveys where you get lower geography. Again, that's probably going to be, most of it will be at the state level, but our county business patterns is an annual survey that has county county data as well. I think depending on how detailed of an industry you're looking at, there will also, I think, be some zip code data available from that survey as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you have specific questions, again, you can contact us and we can really try to point you towards the correct survey to take a look at.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, I've got one more. And then someone raised their hand if they're. So if we go back, you don't need to show this, but as a business to business, we were saying that there's not data at a tract level, but it could be at a zip code level and maybe even a little bit broader. So we talked about bars, but if I want to get down to NASCII codes or something a little bit more detailed, just finished the census myself and filled it out on time. Okay, on time. That capability exists as well, right? So I saw what we did here, but let's say I want to go a little bit deeper on business revenue. I'm assuming based on what you showed me that all that is feasible for business to business companies. Is that right?
In Census Business Builder, certainly, yeah. And you can, again, you can create those industry reports, and I kind of walk through an example of one. And yeah, you have all of the data that's available in Census Business Builder will show up in the report, including the business summary, business revenue, and payroll data. Like if you're like a small business, like a mom and pop, and you're thinking of expanding, well, in that case, you may need to convert to an employer business to be able to manage both locations. Then yeah, you would be interested in that payroll data for whatever geography that you're trying to expand into. And that's why those reports are so powerful, because it gives you all that information in a shareable, readable, customizable format that can also serve as sort of a business plan.
That's excellent. So allow me to do I'm sorry, go ahead. I just want
I was just gonna add a little bit more to that answer, because if you're a alcoholic beverage distributor, like you're a wholesaler, you would probably create the exact same report that Nadal did, where you would look at bars, see how many bars are in a particular region. You would probably also add in full service restaurants, right? Or liquor stores, right? Because those are going to be your customers. So if
Right.
you're thinking of, business to business that way, Nadal already half made your report for you. Even though it's a different use case, it's the same. You're just looking at the business data as your customers rather than demographic data as your customers.
That's fantastic. So thank you both so much. Jenny, let me turn it over to you real quick to wrap it up, and then we'll have some closing comments.
Great, thank you. I'm just putting up the slide with Carrie's and Nadal's information. If you want to jot that down really quickly, we will also be sharing the slides prior or after the presentation today. So you can screenshot it and you'll also have it in your email soon. We do have a couple of announcements. So some small business programming, we have ADA compliant small business council. We'll be joined by Accenture, who will be doing basically an audit on your websites to ensure that they are ADA compliant. And that is on April 12th. And then we have a small business strong on April 26th. So those will both be virtual, I believe, but we are planning to have some hybrid opportunities in the near future. And also, if you're not already familiar, we do have our Resilient Business Advising Program. Please take advantage. We have 5 amazing advisors on our team who are able to connect you to access to capital resources, marketing, contracting, a variety of different things, and it's free. So make sure that you take advantage of that as well. And then finally, if you're not already familiar too, we have our Small Business Digital Ready program partnered with Verizon, and it's also a free program that's available to you as well. So the links and everything will be included in the email recap. And I will pass it over to Kevin to wrap us up.
Thank you both again, Carrie and Nadal, just exceptional, and really appreciate your time today. Just a great investment and really learning about this. So thank you. And I also want to thank our sponsors, the US Census and Cal OSB, and all of you for joining us. Really, it's great to have you participate. We really do appreciate your time as we go forward. As you can see, we've got a couple more Small Business Strong events coming up in the next couple of months, so we encourage you to sign up for those. And with that, have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.